You guys ready? The time is now 5 p.m. on June 18th, and I call this public meeting of the Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present and that this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. And we are going to begin with our reports. Our first report tonight is the athletic department. Mr. Brent Parker.
Thank you. And as I have seen, you have a large agenda, so we're going to quickly go over some of the highlights. And this could be, I'm going to try to talk slow, but this will be the quickest one I've ever done. But I do want to introduce our folks that are here tonight. We'll start on the back row. This is our campus assistant coordinator, John Reese, who's our head basketball coach. Next to him is our campus coordinator and head football coach, John Amersham. Most importantly, his oldest daughter, is a freshman at Boswell. So, congratulations. And then this is my assistant athletic director, Steve Griffin, campus coordinator, Dan Johnson, head football coach, Janine Smith, assistant coordinator at Chisholm, Byron Bodie, head football coach and campus coordinator at Chisholm, and then, of course, our eldest statement, Kenny Cook. He does it all, but he really takes care of our facilities and all of our playoff games, helps us with UIL rules and regulations, and is our conduit to lots of people. So we appreciate all that they do. So there's our athletic mission statement. This year we had 5 folks that won state championships. Last year we had 3, so that's a significant gain. And of course, all those kiddos are great kids, and of course, Coach Brody does a great job with our program. These are runner-ups. I know you've seen those as well. State qualifiers, that was the first Boswell swimmer to ever qualify for the state championship, Hunter Boniface. And I'm not real sure if we've had any of the swimmers at the other 2 schools ever go to the state. So Chris was telling me that he thinks that's the only one in the district that's ever participated in the state swim meets. That was exciting. State qualifiers, I was there. Dadgummit, the dang mile relay team got edged out right at the finish line. They could have gotten a medal, 3rd place medal, but ended up placing 4th. And so they had a great track season, their mile relay team, and a number of folks almost won 1st or 2nd or 3rd. Had 2 Saginaw girls again go to the state golf tournament. We had 6 coaches of the year, and so that was exciting. Last year we had 4, and of course all those on the list were outstanding. Coach Abensham was even nominated for the DFW First Down Club of DFW. Okay, so that was an exciting night, as well as one of Dane's players actually won the Community Service of the Year award there at a banquet that we went to at Mansfield. So congratulate all those coaches who do a great job. If you notice, I'm going to work on Coach Abby and his PR director and trying to continue to schedule more interviews, both ESPN and CBS and things like that. So you notice he's got the microphone right in front of him. Had a great district championships for Boswell volleyball. That's their 5th consecutive in a row. Boswell girls basketball, that is the most wins in history, which broke last year's record of 34. And of course, Coach Reese is 28-0 in district. And I think it even goes back to Coach Cook's last couple of wins as well. So they've got a pretty good district streak that they've got going. And again, that's a school record for Boswell softball in wins and district as well as on the season. So they had a great season. Wrestling is always really good. Track and field at Chisholm. And then, of course, Cullum Yoakum. Yoakum had a great soccer season. Last year, Boswell went to the playoffs and got 2nd. They had a great season. So the things that we're doing at our middle school with soccer as well as with our high school are beginning to show seeds of outstanding performances. So Saginaw set a school record for 19 wins, and that's the first time they've ever been in the playoffs. And then we've just got individual district champions. I think I missed saying that our golfer that played in the state at Chisholm, that was the first time we'd ever had a golfer in the state tournament from Chisholm there. And then, of course, these are all of our district champions. We had 6 MVPs. Last year we had 4 MVPs of the district. So, Hannah Boyd was the district MVP in volleyball, basketball, Audra Warren, football, Rashawn Berry. We're continuing to advance in the playoffs, and those are some of our teams. That was the first time that they've been to the regional tournament in 25 years, Boswell girls basketball. Also, our Chisholm tennis team had an outstanding tennis season. They got 2nd in district, but they had 5 participate in the regional tournament, won a number of regional matches, and had a little girl that actually got beat by the winner of the tournament and then beat the next person. So she ended up getting 3rd, but only 2 advanced. And of course, some great pictures. First time Saginaw boys basketball had ever been in the playoffs. And you see the coaches there on the sidelines getting a little excited, Brent Kraft and company. A lot of teams made it to the playoffs. Now, speaking of playoffs, we're entering into a new district. So if you're not aware, every 2 years, the district or the UIL reassigns, and depending on attendance or population, new districts. So as our 3 football coaches sit to my left, to your right, there's a really good opportunity for all 3 of our teams to get in the playoffs, we hope. And I think that our district football will be competitive, but yet, Alito, who usually wins state championships year in, year out, is gone. Eaton was really good last year. They moved to 6A. Northwest has been really good in the past. And so we've got a really good opportunity to get, hopefully, some multiple teams in the playoffs. Now, if you look at our district for our other teams, it's going to be a little bit challenging. Grapevine Colleyville always plays good baseball, softball, really good golf, really good tennis. And so we just want to make sure that we continue to do things that put us on the same level playing field as some of those schools like that. I know that tennis is really good there as well. And of course, we have our own swimming and wrestling district. Wrestlers will actually go all over the country. And so that is our wrestling district, because there's only 6A, and then there's 5A and below. And then the same thing is true with swimming, 6A and then 5A and below. And so our swimming district's a little different than the other 2. Since I've been here, we've done a little National Signing Day on signing day, as well as we've kind of collected those at the end of the year that haven't signed yet. And so it was another really, really good year. We had 44 kids total signed to play somewhere. And we've kind of started tracking our Division I signees. Last year we had 8. Michigan to Baylor, to a couple of UTA, to North Texas, and all over. And this year we've got one that signed with Texas, one that signed with West Virginia, Abilene Christian, and of course Northeastern. So we're proud of that. Also, because Jean's sitting there too, Janine, it was the first time that Chisholm's volleyball team advanced in the playoffs as well, and of course it was listed. So she does an outstanding job there. One thing that we started new, and we're fixing to pay the bill, but in each one of our high schools as well as our website, there's going to be a core GPA, and the fact that a parent and students can actually go online or go to their counselors. And our counselors are going to be trained on how to make sure that you understand Division I rules, Division II rules, Division III, NAI, junior college, Division I, there's Division II, there's actually Division I, Division II of NAI as well. And each one has different rules to it. And every once in a while a kid, doesn't take a core class and wants to go to Texas or TC or something like that, and they end up going to summer school to make sure that they're eligible. And so we hope that we equip our counselors, as well as our parents have the ability to go online and make sure that all of our kids are on track to play at the next level academically, as well as hoping that we help them academically. Another thing that we've pride ourselves in is continuing to market our athletic program. And I guess how this works is crazy, but we've got about 77,000 that we reach in our Facebook pages. We still do a Players of the Week that have a lot of people vote. Our Twitter is up. Also gives you an idea of how many people go to our website throughout the year, and there's anywhere from 23 to 24,000 at some points and things like that. So sometimes I always wonder who's watching, who's listening, and then when we get stuff like this back from our computer company, we keep doing more. One thing that we have expanded on, of course, Campa does a great job, is we've put together 350 videos this year, and we've got over 122,000 views on our videos that we put together. We put together videos from signing day to game highlights to showcases to just all kinds of things. And so, again, we're just trying to promote everything that's positive that go on in our district. And then, of course, we do an athletic show. Every sport has a show where we highlight our coaches and players and things like that, as well as we continue to put posters up all throughout our elementary schools and middle schools and high schools and things like that. We have a lot of our kids do community service, as well as we began last Christmas. A gentleman by the name of Stephen Mackey, I heard him speak at a UIL event, and he does a wonderful job speaking about character development. And so he played college football at Texas A&M, and had an interesting growing up story that can probably some of our kids relate to. And so he has spoken at 2 of our high schools. We'll speak at the other one next year. And he has a weekly 5-minute video and has a curriculum that goes with it that a majority of our coaches and teams use. That is our athletic staff that we're very proud of. And then, of course, Steve Griffin does a tremendous job in everything he does. One of the things he does on a daily basis is track the number of kids that are participating in our skilled training for younger kids, middle school kids, and even high school kids. And we have, from the beginning of PC last year until the end of May, about 1,200 total registrations. Some kids may do multiple of these, but at the same time, about 1,200 total students. And so, all the things that we're doing that began way before I got here, stuff like this, hire really good coaches, build big houses and people move in, and next thing you know, we're beginning to see the fruits of all those types of things. And of course, we had a great middle school. Ed Wilkie won the Middle School Cup. Creekview had a great basketball season, and we've just hired him to be the assistant at Saginaw. That was Mr. Williams' son. So Coach Williams will now be at Saginaw. And so that is our report. Now, I walked in, Ms. Hatley gave this to me. There's a Damian Tomlinson banquet, first time ever. And we had a number of our student athletes. Malik, our linebacker from Boswell. Rashawn was first team offense in this, as well as Audrey Warren was first team basketball. Jay Stout and Malasan, I don't want to say her last name, were in the listing of golfers. And of course, we had our 2 state championship wrestlers. And as she said, as she walked in, Coach, we're all over this paper. And so we really are. So we're proud of what we do. We're always trying to get better. And I will say this, I appreciate Dr. Chadwell's support. I appreciate Paige Ring and Steve Newcomb and everybody on the board. Coach Daughtry, for all that you do for athletics, because it makes our student athletes better. It makes our coaches better. They know that they are important, and that it does matter how we do. And it does matter that we build coaches with character as well as student athletes with character. And so we appreciate all you do. And if there's any questions for Steve, Kenny Cook, Zoe, and Val Warrior, our campus coordinator, assistant coordinator, who's our volleyball coach, got here as well. So we wanted to introduce you too. Thank you, Val, for coming. But any questions, comments? I know you only got 11 more to go, so thank you.
Thank you. All right, our next. Yes, thank you all for coming, and it was wonderful to hear all of the successes that you are having and all the participation as well. Thank you very much. Our next report is a profile of an EMS ISD graduate, Dr. Becker.
Great. This report is for information only, but it is my pleasure to stand before you and have in our audience members of our committee of parents, administrators, students, and teachers who helped review our Aspire 2022 and work together to collaborate and come up with our profile of a graduate. We have it on the screen here. We have our posters that'll be going to all the schools as well. Working this past spring, our goal was to create a profile of a graduate for EMS ISD. This was utilizing, again, the mission and the belief statements found in our Aspire 2022 and the goals in our strategic plan, as well as looking at other districts' profile of a graduate to develop what we want our graduates to be and the attributes that they should possess. Our goal is that every student receiving a diploma from Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD will walk that stage possessing the attributes of thinking critically, communicating effectively, collaborating with peers, demonstrating career readiness, as well as being ready to contribute meaningfully to the community. So at this time, I'd like to recognize those members of our committee, students, staff members, community members, and administrators. Would you stand if you were part of that? Zoe, I know you were on. Excited to have you guys here today. Thank you. And I just want to commend you. Any questions?
I'll just comment, I got it in a publication that I received at my house, and I know we got the crime placement, and I thought ours was better than most of the other school districts, so very, very well done.
If you'll notice, the students, we wanted to honor those that served on the committee, 3 of them which are here tonight, and so their pictures appear here. We hope to use that for several years. So.
Very good.
Very good. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee members, for being here.
And I will just let the coaches know you are certainly welcome to stay, but if you were only here for the athletic portion, feel free to make an exit if you would like.
Thank you.
Right, and our next report, and she's already there, Stacy Summerhill has World Language Academy report for us.
All right, good evening. Thank you for having me tonight to give you an update on our first World Language Academy that we provided this year. Based on our strategic objectives and beliefs, speaking out to this one, we're reaching out for our high-quality education is barrier-free. And this one is really helping us to branch out of what we normally do in the school day, where we provided a World Language Academy for students grades 2 through 12. And I'll give you a little bit more information about how those languages were selected. And then it shows how we align with our beliefs that we're trying to help our students reach their fullest potential and starting at an earlier age. This quote is by Frank Smith, and he's a linguistics expert, our guru, and focusing on language and reading development. And thought this quote was very appropriate for what we tried to do and as we continue to grow in the future with our academy. One language sets you in a corridor for life. 2 languages open every door along the way. And with this, we focus on the development of our early language learners. The influence of learning a world language can help students become more globally aware, create more global citizens, create cultural sensitivity, career advancement, those college and readiness skills, critical thinking, listening skills, memory skills, other cognitive and benefits as well. And the research is showing that once you acquire a second language, that your brain is more primed to acquire the third. So when we started this journey, it took a lot of work in the hands of a lot of people. And I will thank Dr. Chadwell for working with us at the onset of this project. It took parents, grandparents, as we invited them to participate in our program, and also many of our own educators. I have 2 of those educators with us tonight, so I would like to take a second and recognize Keith Dollar. Keith, could you stand? Keith is our bilingual and world language coordinator. And he did a fantastic job facilitating the work of this. He and I worked very closely together from the beginning, but I'll give him all the credit for the success. He did a really great job working with the teachers and development of the curriculum for the courses. Also here tonight is one of our teachers, Sharon Knowles. Sharon was one of our American Sign Language teachers. She serves in our special services department and is trained to work with teaching of hearing impaired students. So thank you for being here tonight. We had others who helped this work, is also Dawn Self-Turpin, who teaches at Wayside, also was teaching with Sharon in the American Sign Language class. We also had Carlos Ropa and Marjorie Ehrman, who also helped work side by side with the Spanish piece of the course as well. We even pulled in PE teachers and aide from Saginaw Elementary. They helped us. Marla West and Kelly Smith helped us with facilitating and just being on hand and helping with the setup and takedown on the nights of the academy. And then our technology members, Jeff Allen and Sarah Partain, they helped us significantly as this was a blended learning course that we offered. So without all of those people and the support of Dr. Chadwell, this Language Academy would not have moved forward and been as successful as it was for the first year. Where this all started is with the help of our communications department. Megan led a district parent-wide survey in which we solicited input on what kind of languages they would like to see provided in this type of learning environment. The 2 languages that stood out were Spanish, that was our first, and then American Sign Language was the second. So that's the direction that we went based on the input. There were about 1,200 respondents to the survey. And then we started to go to work on the development of the curriculum and hiring our teachers and those kind of things. This first Academy, we held those on Tuesday and Thursday evenings from 6 to 7:30 at HCTC. So we had an opportunity to feature just the magnitude and dynamics of that building. We had many parents who did participate, and then we also had families who stayed there and just, I think some of them really found their niche in HCTC, and they would read every time that they came, and very supportive of the program. So as I said, the curriculum was taught in a blended learning environment there with online curriculum in addition to collaboration. Our Spanish class incorporated many components of art and culture into it as well, and the lessons delivered were very engaging to the students. And the thing, when we debriefed and met with the teachers, the biggest thing that they said, the positive, was that the students had fun. And any night that we went and visited, the students were smiling, they were happy, they were having fun learning with each other. So this first academy, we had 54 total participants, and that includes our EMS ISD students, and those students attend for free. And then families who decided to join and learn alongside their student and child in the program. And we had, help me, there it is, 12 adults total participated this first round. We would like to see that number increase, definitely, but we were very thankful for those parents who came faithfully and worked alongside their child in the academy. So where do we go from here? Like I said, we did debrief. We also sent out parent surveys to the participants who participated in the first year of the academy. So where we're going next year, a lot of the feedback told us that we want to definitely continue, but we would like to offer a beginning level and an intermediate level in both Spanish and American Sign Language. We feel like our long-term vision is that we definitely would like to add additional languages, but we feel like we would like to go further with the 2 languages that we started this year in the academy. Another piece of the feedback was that the scheduling piece. This time we offered it pretty much one continuous session with a break in the middle. This time we're going to split up with 2 different registrations. We'll have a fall session that starts in September, and we'll go to Mondays only. That was one of the pieces of feedback that we took into consideration, is that they did want to go just one night a week. The spring session will start in February, and once again, that will be held on Mondays as well. We did use an online registration system. We got a lot of positive feedback about that. And then we also considered parent costs. So that's an area that we're going to decrease the amount that we charge parents. I think we'll get more participation rates by having parents lower that cost for them as well. So overall, a lot of work, and really it was our first rodeo on this adventure, and I'm looking forward to what we do in the future. I think it's just going to continue to grow. I do want to try alternate, more varied ways of promoting the academy, just to try to get more parent participation as well. All right, so I want to just kind of highlight a little bit of what that looked like. We will be bringing back the academy in September. Do you have any questions?
Question?
By moving it to one day, are you gonna still keep the same hours, or will it be extended?
That just happened. No,
But no, we will continue it. It'll still say the same hours, just so we can get the kids home at a reasonable time, and there'll be additional opportunities outside of the course for them.
And Liz, we have that program offered, yes, we have that at one of our elementaries. And we've got some incredible things that Dr. Salazar is doing with our with our parents who are speaking Spanish and wanting to learn English.
Okay.
but it's,
They do.
but it's not affiliated
It's not
with kids.
connected, no. It's
Just
different.
one quick comment. This is something we want to build on, just like Stacy said. What we hope is in the next years, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, we'll see this is just this is just what you do. And we're really excited about families learning languages together. We think there's a lot of synergy there and power there, and we hope to extend that in the future. We're looking at a lot of different opportunities. In fact, Dr. Parker and I were just talking about some today. Any way we can have this international opportunities, exchanges, those kinds of things. So you're going to see this expand into other areas. Learning language, just as learning a language in a classroom, it needs to really be embedded in a real-life experience, and so we're looking at those opportunities as well.
That's great. Any other questions? All right, thank you. Our next report is the annual compensation study. Dr. Dawkins.
Dr. Chadwell, members of the board. Well, you've already gotten a preview of my video, so I kind of feel like my thunder was stolen. It's hot, isn't it? All right, here we go. Baby, just kind of follow along here. So, this is our annual report, and it is for informational purposes only.
Just one quick
So-
thing, you do have an update
Yes,
at your,
you have an update at your table, and
The
the
blue
update
cover.
is on the PowerPoint as well. The purpose of the compensation study is to assess the competitive job market in comparison to other districts on the basis of enrollment and location. And so these are our Region 11 cohort group. The data obtained comes from surveys conducted by TASB HR Service. They do that in the fall. They do that in September, so it's September of 17. And what you'll notice on here on there is a variance in the size of the districts in our region. Wanted to point out we have, our enrollment in September was 19,284. So of the 12 that we're looking at, 9 were larger than we were, 3 were smaller. But 3 are kind of standouts. If you look, Arlington, Fort Worth, and Louisville, just on their size, is really significantly larger than us, anywhere from 2 to 4 times larger. So. But these are our neighbors. Teacher pay scale. This just shows you over the last 8 years, we track our progress in increasing and that's our starting salary, that's our 0 step. And so, you can see that we are on the increase and look to be going even higher. The next chart that you see is a salary comparison report. This goes up to year 20, just kind of gives a broad overview of, actually it's really a summary of what's on the next couple of pages. The comparison averages are different than the ones that were originally in Board Book. And so it shows what our starting salary is compared to the market average. And so even though we're below, if you look at 0 and 5, we're still very competitive at 97% and 98.5% of the average of the market in our area. And that's just Region 11. And please feel free to stop me as we're moving through this. The ranking, this shows you in our region, this shows you where we are. Again, this is a little bit different than the other analysis that UEA presents, because that's the part that we look at as the Western Metroplex, so it has additional districts in it. So these are Region 11 that are above 10,000, enrollment above 10,000. So it does show where we land, and then you can see at the bottom, it's really a summary. So it really shows our improvement as well on moving up in and being more competitive. Other salaries. The next one, this really is to me, it's really the heart of our study and really guides our future work from here on out. This is where we take a look at all of our different pay families, and then we look at our positions compared to others. And so one of the things that is different is the duty days. The duty days that are listed there are the market salary duty days. So there is variance with our positions. Our positions don't necessarily have the same number of duty days, but this gives us kind of a benchmark to look at, and then we start disaggregating the data from there. For instance, is somebody on, you know, a 248 and we're a 235, then we would take a look at that for daily rate, vice versa. So for instance, if you look at, just as an example, a standout would be Director of Risk Management at 83%. And in that, so to begin our analysis, we look at a couple of things. In our district, it is a coordinator position. It's not a director position, but we would report it because that's the closest that we have. And the titles that you see there are TASB titles, or not necessarily our titles. So there's not always an apples comparison, but it's the most similar position to what we have. In examining that, our position is above midpoint on that one. The same for PEIMS coordinator. We have, our position does have that title of PEIMS coordinator. Our position is above the midpoint for us, and then we also have a PEIMS assistant to help with that person. But that's just really kind of scratching the surface on what we would do, though, to look and see if we are competitive, and then that's where I work with Dr. Chadwell on any equity adjustments that are necessary for these positions. Admin program is our next pay family. Very competitive there, and you can see we've got a large number of employees in this pay family. The few that are at the bottom, the matrix just means the teacher scale, the teacher matrix, the teacher salary scale. The following is admin support. So our paraprofessional positions, many of our paraprofessional positions, we're very competitive on those. We are looking at our child nutrition supervisor. That one we have 3 of those positions in our district. And so we would do another analysis of that, a little bit of a deeper dive on that position. We would need to compare different responsibilities to what, you know, in another district. Is that a similar position in another district? What are the responsibilities on our position versus a competitive position? So we will definitely look at that one as well. We also have quite a bit of variance in ours in terms of experienced people and people new to the position. Instructional support, very competitive in that area. These are our people in the classrooms that are really supporting our kiddos.
It looks like we're pretty low in the as far as the market's concerned in all of our maintenance areas to me.
We've got, yes, we have in warehouse supervisor, and looking at that one, we have sort of a split position in that because we have sort of 2 of those positions. We have one of our warehouse supervisors manages C&I materials, technology, instructional materials, and then we have warehouse that's kind of everything else, our furniture, all of that. So in looking at that with other districts, we would need to see, is that one person over that?
Yeah, I was really talking about like all of our
maintenance.
General maintenance
Right.
workers, our electricians, our HVAC people, our plumbers. You know,
Right,
those are hard people to hire and to keep.
they are.
So I would like to see us
Yes.
work a little harder on trying to get those more to the market area than where they are right now.
In the revised report, they are closer to the market than the
They
one
are.
we got sent out as
Mhm.
well.
They
So
are.
there may have been corrections to that page that we,
Just to.
like
looking-
90 versus
And-
94 on the electricians. I mean, there's still a
Right.
gap, but it's a lot
Right.
less of a gap
Yeah,
than what we
I'm
originally
looking at the
thought.
revised
Well,
copy.
yeah, and 81% on general maintenance, and I've been talking with Cleet about that as well. We're above midpoint on our TASB scale, but that doesn't mean that we're necessarily competitive to market, so we'll definitely look at that. We do have cell phone stipends for those positions, and we did not factor that into their salary, since, you know, that's an added expense of them using their own cell phone device. We've also looked at reclassifying some of the positions just for the level of certification that's needed. So we'll definitely be bringing some recommendations back for those areas.
The equity adjustment process this year,
Right.
we're in a position now to be able to address these. Every year, as y'all know, we have an amount of money that we are able to utilize to address the waterfall of positions, and we are now, as of now, unless you correct me right now, I think we're near perfect in that. Now, every time we hire someone
Right.
this summer, we'll have to look at that
Right.
in those positions, but we're in a really, really good position to have that equity between, based upon years. And now we're able, and we've addressed some key areas in the previous years, and this is the next phase. And so
Right.
we're going to be looking at the classified positions.
Mhm.
I do want to say that I feel like we still need to go back, and even though, if you go back one slide, even looking at the aid positions, although they show to be compared to the market, we have more turnover in that area, and so
We
there'll
do.
be some designated areas to, okay, even though there maybe the market needs to move. And so we're going to also be looking at turnover in positions and hard to fill areas, particularly in behavioral, in
Right.
particular areas. So I feel like based upon the current budget of what Jim's lined out, that we'll be able to address these significantly this year. And we can bring you a revision in the fall after all this goes into effect to see the bump, so you have to wait till next year.
Is that all you had on that one? Are
That's
there
all I
any
have
other
on that one, unless you
questions?
have any other questions.
And then I think you're the next report
I
as
am the
well,
next
additional
report as
staffing,
well.
and I believe there's an updated copy on that at your places as well. If you want to go ahead and move right forward.
We're requesting consideration of the additional staffing request for the upcoming school year. And the change on this one was 2 pay grades in the business office on those positions, and I'll speak to that. On the reclassification and stipend requests that are in that staffing proposal, really align with the responsibility and expectations outside of the school day for those positions. So if you're looking at, we've got reclassification on, excuse me, let me find this. Our business office, and looking at those with Mr. Shealy, in really putting some more responsibilities on some of the people and training that they would need. We have increased the pay grades and also be competitive. We're also wanting to keep people, so not only hiring but retaining people. Reclassification of several of those positions in his department. Our coordinator for assessment and data analysis, we brought that position to you last year for 220 days. And the need is really there for a year-round person for 235, so we're requesting a few days on that. For some of the stipends, we have some teachers who are serving as coaches, especially for our Special Olympics, and we're becoming, just more and more kids are getting involved, and we're excited about that. And so to really compensate them for their time, trying to align some of those stipends with the responsibilities they have outside of the school day for those. On our department chairs, for instance, our special education department chairs, we have academic department chairs and people that serve as like department leads for content areas, but not for special education. So we're requesting to add those for consideration. And the other stipends as well really correspond with other stipends in the district. We have a request, it is a new position, a senior buyer, and that coincides with the passage of the new bond. And so that's going to heavily affect purchasing. This one would manage routine purchases, and it would provide leadership in that area. And this position would be a unique position. It would work in conjunction with the operations department. So it would really be a liaison between finance and operations for all of our upcoming construction and ordering and all that would entail for the business department. And so I would plan to bring this back in July for approval. Any questions on these?
Questions? I had just a couple on the counselor stipend at the elementary. Is there more than one counselor? Or would that just be?
It's a lead counselor, so we would have one lead counselor for all elementaries, one lead for middle school, like that.
So it's
it's a liaison really for the counseling department, Mariella's department, and it would be her liaison who could then train and communicate with all elementary, and then one at the middle. We have those at the high school.
And then the buyer position associated with the bond, do we see that as a long-term position that would continue to, or is it more of a short-term need as we go through the financing piece, or?
Given the growth we're experiencing, that's probably next 7 to 10 years, which by that point in time, given the size of the district, is probably going to be a full-time position, if not turn into another position.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Dr. Douglas. Next, we have the JJAEP Memorandum of Understanding. Barry Barker is going to present that.
Thank you, Ms. Ring and board, Dr. Chadwell. I've got two reports actually back to back. The first one is on JJ on page 66 in your board book. This one is our memorandum of understanding for JJ. There's the previous year that we just concluded, that contract concludes July 31st of next month. And so the new contract will kick into place on the 1st of August. We're excited to say that they've not gone up on their prices. A stay at JJ for discretionary placement is going to be $129 a day. Mandatory placements are covered. We do not pay for those. So this past school year, we've had one discretionary placement, which equals the previous year's mark, which both are better than 2015-16 school year, where there were 4 discretionary placements. So on the last page, I did give a projection of what potentially may be needed, which is the projection of 6 placements is more than what we've had over the past 3 years or equal to it. The thought is there were a few placements that we could have had this year, but there was a bit of a cutoff for discretionary placements, and so they did not go. Of course, we do everything we can to try to service our students here in the district, and for many of them, we can with our own DAEP. And so that is the report for that one. Any questions there?
So if you want to go ahead and move right into report G on the Canine Detection Services contract.
Absolutely. This is our Canine Detection Service on page 74 of your board book. Certainly serves a very important role for us in the prevention of drug usage. The secondary campuses are our main campuses where RAID will attend, primarily in the parking lots at the high schools, but they will go into the locker rooms and the dressing rooms. The cost for the upcoming year, 18-19 school year, for them to come out is $373.69, which is, there is no increase in that. It's the same as this current year that we just concluded. On the last page of the material is a chart that shows the last 2 years of detections that we've had. Our middle schools, we did one better at our middle school this past year. We had none at any of our middle schools, but the high schools do show a reflection that they did go up. No real rhyme or reason as to why. I don't know if it's a different population of student, but we did have more detections this year at the high school level. So that is a good thing. It gives us an opportunity to educate and to serve the kids with those needs. Any questions on that?
Thank you. All right, I think we are to report H, the student drug testing and student behavior survey. Jennifer Lyons is reporting on that for us today.
Good evening, Mrs. Rooney, Dr. Chadwell, and board. If you look in your board book on page 80, you will see the 2017-18 student drug testing and the student behavior survey reports. These reports are going to give you just a brief summary. As you know, here in our district, any student that participates in extracurricular competitive activities in grades 7 through 12 is randomly drug tested. And you will see that we tested 1,706 students this year, and we did receive 49 positives. The report will also show you what substances were positive. And you'll see the student behavior survey. That's included in our 2017-18 student engagement survey that we partner with K through 12 on. And this survey asks our students in grades 6 through 11 for feedback about school safety, climate, and drugs and substance use as well. This is the second year that we've used this particular method, and it's a locally developed survey, and it helps us to track our trends, and then we can use that and get that information back at a much quicker rate than we could before. And we share that information with our counseling department and look at other ways that we can better serve students. And the results from each of these annual surveys inform us about the future decisions and education, as well as the safe practices. This item is for informational purposes, and there's no recommendation necessary.
Questions on that report? Okay, then I think you're the next one as well. So if you want to go ahead and give us an update on TASB 110.
Yes, ma'am. On page 83 in your board book, you'll find that TASB has completed update 110. There are several legal policies and one local policy. One local policy that includes basically how the district's elections take place, decisions that are allowed by law, and the number of board members and the length that a board member can serve. The handout was given prior to tonight's meeting, so do you have any questions on the new local policy?
I think we do.
Okay. And we'll bring this back for approval next month.
Thank you. Mr. Welch, operations report.
I don't see mine up there right now.
Can you help them find? It's in board book. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah,
The
I was
slides
looking
in
for
board
it.
book?
Well, Jackie's supposed to know that. That's hard to say. Okay. Well, it's in
Maybe.
board, it's in board book. If you want to follow along that way, just won't be able to see it in the audience. On the picture with June 9th, 2018, it kind of shows you the overview in the back side of the building. And to the left, you'll see the gymnasium, and in fact, you'll see the white roof on there. That would be the single-ply roof. It's been instructed in, put on the top there, and you see the three main academic areas. Area D, that is the front of the building. That's the main gym area, so you can start to see where the men are walking across the rebar. So that'll be the parent approach. It's, in fact, this was, 8 days ago, so obviously that's already been poured. But moving right along, the next slide is area E and F, which you're looking directly into the Fine Arts building without the roof on it. Then you see the beams and the trusses over there on the cafeteria. And then some of it has the decking on it in that area also, and the stage is covered up. So tomorrow morning, you're gonna see there's a little part in F right there where you see that little, like a big closet. That's where the mezzanine will be poured. That floor will be put in tomorrow. Area A, waiting on the steel, and it came in, we started putting it in on Friday. So the columns now are more or less the skeleton part of the building's coming in. So they're starting to hang that as of last Friday, so, which will enable us, because we still have to pour the second story, so it was good to get that started. Next slide is area B, just kind of a repeat, but right up in the front, you'll see that's where the library is going to go, and the hallway that connects all the building together. And then area C, and so that's already been poured. We have one more pour to get up to top it out, and then so the academic ICF part will be completed at that point. The south entrance, that's another thing they're going to, hopefully if it doesn't rain, but at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, that south approach there by the road, that's going to be poured also. So should have poured that last time, but we couldn't get the permit from the city of Fort Worth to get them out there on time, so just kind of had to delay that one. The parent drop-off, I showed you some of that a while ago when you looked at the gym areas, but it's poured all the way now up to area A, the front entrance. So again, these are about 8 days old, but again, just moving right along. And north entrance, the thing I like to start to see is you start to see some of the permanent landscaping dirt coming up there. And so they get that set in, then they kind of use a front end loader where the sidewalks will be located, so it's a little bit easier to kind of form that. But again, as you start moving from the gym area to area C, you're going to start to see the landscaping components start to go in and just slowly start working their way across. So this superintendent, he didn't wait till let's do it now, let's do the landscaping. He continuously keeps moving those parts and keeps the project moving. The drive A, which is kind of in the back over here, that'll be where that main area that's where the parents will come around. And you also have parking for the gym in that area. And also that's where the bike racks will be located also for the students that are on their bikes. Area F is a combination. It's the back of the building, plus it shows part of the football field in that area. If you notice one thing in there on the drive, you kind of see that concrete that's a white looking, it's a different color. Well, one morning the pump truck broke, so that was cut out. So basically early in the morning, there's no other pump trucks. So they basically had to call it a night and cut that out. And of course, they've already completed that task now, but that's the downside of pouring early in the morning sometime. And again, the service area in the back, one thing I'd point out, you can see the little, on the far left, that's where the storage area for athletics is located. So that's been put in. And again, you can see the nice white roof up on top. And then the last photo is the football field. So we'll start that in about a month. They'll lime stabilize that and just start building it and go from there. And, moving right along, we're on schedule and hadn't had much rain, so for construction, that's good. Any questions about that?
Thank you. All right, how much time do you need, Jim?
I don't think it's going to happen in 5 minutes. I can do it in 15.
Okay. Is that all right with the board? We have a light closed session agenda today, so we're going to get this. Okay, finance report, Dr. Shealy. Or Mr. Shealy. I did the same thing that we did last month, sorry.
Hopefully this works.
Or then again, maybe not.
it's thinking. There we go. When we met last Thursday, I had the May estimate, which is this estimate right here, which was $9.5 billion. I had just gotten the June estimate, which was 9.6. In the meeting, I said it was a little unusual. Normally, the June estimate drops a little bit, but it went up a little bit, so I put a 2% limiter on that to scale it back because I was a little uneasy. And that number's 9.6. 2 days later, I received a corrected run, and it was a drop of $400 million. We've had years when the increase wasn't 400 million. That amounts to right at $8 million in revenue. I had put some limiters in. There were some numbers that we hadn't pinned down directly, but at this point in time, I was scrambling to see where we were going to be. We had conversations with TAD. The difference was an optical scan error in a single account for business personal property totaling 520 some million. There were other errors of about 100 and some million going the other way, which, what's 100 million, right? Yeah, 3 friends. So at this point in time, we've been trying to work through, and I call it ring and ask for help, and she was nice enough to work with me and work with TAD through this. We have now a projection which I've gone through, and I took now the new revised June numbers, and I went through and applied it to my model. And looking at it, I'm guessing that we're going to come up somewhere right in the neighborhood of about 9.2 billion. And that's the number I use going forward. I will tell you that's about a 13.8% increase, down from 14%. In conversations with Jeff Law, he did say that he had looked at the estimates, and that he felt our increase was going to be closer to the $9.4 billion range. And he's looking at ARB results and a few other things. I'm not that comfortable to go up to 9.4, so I based our revised estimates on 9.2. And I made, I took it apart number by number by number. And so what I did was I went through, I kept the required surplus in, looked at the savings we have, the enrollment increase. I did recognize before we knew that the special ed positions were going to be covered by special ed revenue. Went through and plugged those numbers into the model, and it actually going to produce about $200,000 more than the cost of those positions, so I added that number in. There's a 13.8, that'll generate about 13 million, but we got a turnaround from last year of about 8. Staffing at Marine Creek, I had Debbie and Philo and HR take a look at that real close as far as the year before we go in and also the year in. We refined our numbers on the technology. We looked at the additional staffing requests. We left those in, and that is a total of $840 million. The PLC insurance we got with our advisors, they've suggested that the increase is more likely to be around 150, and that's without changing deductibles. I moved the miscellaneous down from 1,250,000 to 750, which is where I started, and I can do that because Jane's not here tonight. But I think if we hold the line, we'll be okay. Departmental reductions, we're going to have to look and find something. We're going to have to look at it. We do have, when all is said and done, if we put a 2%, and this number, as taxes go up, it creates, or as TAVs go up, it creates more debt service money. We've been passing about $3.5 million over. If the TAVs go up faster than we issue debt, then we don't have to pass as much money over. So I'm now starting to play with that number, which I've never done before, and it doesn't make a whole lot of difference this year. But I'm anticipating next year that the Passover is going to be $57,000 less than it is this year. That Passover is about $3.7 million that we're moving from M&O to INS to keep the rate down. When all is said and done, and we put in a 2% raise, actual, and we cover the smoothing of the teacher salaries that we talked about last time, we end up in the upcoming year right at break even. But I've got no wiggle room. I mean, I have gone through and cashed in every chip I've got. The only buffer we have, which really isn't a buffer, is the $1.5 million budget line item for an increase in fund balance. The good news, if there's good news, is as you go forward, because the jump this year isn't as big as it was, the turnaround next year isn't as big as it was. And really what you're looking at is the differential between those numbers here and with the growth of overall TAV. So looking at that number, we actually still have a fairly healthy increase from TAV growth for the next couple of years. We also have enrollment growth, which is fairly high, especially in that third year. Now, we do have Marine Creek Middle School. I had estimated the cost of opening the school to be about 2.7, and they came at about they came actually at about 3. One of the numbers that I did not include had to do with special ed, because I don't know that without looking at that population and computing the income side of it, I don't think it's a straight or a straight expense. Also have opening the preliminary staffing for Copper Creek Elementary School, and I also have 22 new teacher hirings. I do not have a raise built in for the next couple of years. We've talked about a couple things we could do, but right now, depending on what the legislature does, and all bets are off, I think we're probably pretty good. Here is the big one right here, is the $3.1 million. Our debt service payment goes up quite a bit this year, but it doesn't go up next year. So with that 13% increase, that's going to allow us to keep quite a bit of money in. Bottom line is we're looking at surpluses in the next 3 years of about 1.6 to 2.1 million. And that's, again, assuming 13, 10, 10. If this were, and I think the 13 is, because of the level of construction around here, I'm more comfortable with that than I am with the 10 as you go out. But I don't think, based on what we've seen, those are ridiculous expectations. Even if they drop a little because of the turnaround number, it affects it, but it still doesn't take us negative. So when we go through and when I got done, this is what I did. In my original model, we didn't have the positive impact of moving the money back if the debt service could cover itself, put that in. We updated market data on the property casualty. We updated the impact of the technology plan long-term. Since the variance is more in line with previous years, I took my 2% limiter off, which helped. We also have a historic increase from June to July of actually about 1.7. I put in 1% because I'm not that comfortable with their numbers. Additional staffing requests have remained in there, in particular the safety and security positions. We recognize the increase of revenue above the SPED requested positions. We reduced miscellaneous, like I said, from 1.25 to 750. Now, we also adjusted campus budgets to accommodate growth. So if they have more kids, they're going to get more money to handle those kids, which a lot of times it's kind of tempting to keep their budget stagnant, but we did go ahead and do that. We have reduced some discretionary accounts. This is a $350,000. We recalculated the core cost for Marine Creek and Copper Creek. We retained the $1.5 million line item for the restoration of fund balance. We did not change the teacher matrix that we presented. We did not reduce the 2% GPI for all employees. We did not reduce the allowance for equity adjustments, which is when Debbie was up here earlier, we talked about areas that we haven't gotten to yet needing to be addressed. We do not propose raising taxes, and of course this is me. We could go up at 0.5 of 1%. It would generate a cushion of about, I don't know, 400,000, I believe, 300,000. It doesn't have a significant impact on the homesteads, but at the same time, at this point in time, it's not necessary. It could be done, but it's not necessary. We did not interrupt the technology plan. We did not reduce instructional spendings or expenditures for instructional support. So boils down to, at least this year, we found it in the planning process and not after we adopted the budget. So we're going into that with an idea where we're at. The initial model had several factors because of my concern with TAD and the veracity of their numbers. We can operate and maintain the budget restoration in this in future years. And in future years, we do have budget surpluses in excess of the 1.5 million. I want to point out, we've had a whole lot of issues hit this district in the last 5 years. I'm starting to feel like I'm bad luck. The budget cuts as 2011, 2012, that was approximately 8% of our budget. We had the TAV valuation problems from the new software, which, by the way, we are still not caught up. It doesn't show anywhere, but by the time we're all said and done, that mistake's gonna have cost us close to $19 million because we still haven't caught up to where we should be. There was the incorrect inclusion of 2 airplane companies at Meacham that were actually in Fort Worth ISD. That was about, I think, 3 years ago, and that was almost $1 million. We had the settlement with Barnett Gathering, where they gave them almost a 30% reduction, even though the independent evaluation said they were worth more than the assessed value. We do have the heavy equipment, which we're looking at. It's now been appealed as of today. We do have allowances in there for that. And I do believe there are still issues with exemptions, and I can't prove it. I don't have the data, but I still have a number in there to account for that. So I think the numbers are conservative. I think we can do what we have talked about doing, but I think we're just going to have to watch it really close.
Would you just clarify, Jim, we did ask Mr. Law to attend tonight. He had a scheduling conflict, but we're going to have him next month, correct?
Right. He's going to come next month. He had an obligation tonight. They're concentrating on the timeline of events, and this did happen very quickly. The problem is that in between, we had a board workshop, a budget workshop. And so we sat down and discussed it and spent an incredible amount of time going over issues that I knew we wanted to do, but I had no idea whether we could do it. So they're still looking at timelines. They're happy it was not a Augmentum, which is their new software problem, but at the same time, that $400 million error in a business personal property account is more than twice the size of our largest taxpayer. That got through their system, and nobody noticed it, which means there is no structural review process, which bothers me even more. I don't have a solution other than, I will say our own internal projections actually were far closer than.
I talked talked to Mr. Law as well and felt that it was very much a manual effort to catch mistakes like this as opposed to something automated. I think that's what we intend to talk to him about next month is how do we get this automated, some way this should have kicked out without ever making a report getting to us with a single record error of that magnitude, so.
Anybody have any questions?
Can we get a copy of this at your report?
Sure,
Send it to
I'll
us
put it all together.
electronically?
Becky's probably already sent me an email telling me to get her
Oh,
a copy of it.
well, even,
Would
electronically.
you like
would
a
be
hard
fine.
copy tonight? Or would
No,
you just
no,
take
electronic.
No, just so we have kind of
Yeah,
the
I kind
record
of
of,
liked it, yeah.
that
Yeah.
was nice how you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I'll put it all together.
Talk, I mean, anybody that has a 19, potentially $19 million error, nobody gets away with that. I don't care if it's a government or not. I mean, is there not some kind of class action or something we can get some other people together? I know you've worked on it.
Yes,
I know we've issued our dismay with them. It's falling on deaf ears. You gotta get somebody somebody's gonna be driving a wagon besides these guys. I mean, we've gotta get something different done, to me.
I mean, we've explored every legal option that we can utilize, and there's nothing that we can do legally, because we can't sue another public entity. The only thing that we could do is consider filing a statement to the board, to their board.
I don't know why we can't sue another public entity. I mean, off the subject, but I talked to some guys that.
Well, it's like somebody suing us for certain things.
Right.
You're immune to lawsuit, and they're immune to lawsuit from the taxing entities.
Well, I talked to TRWD today about some stuff, and they were explaining how they got sued by TRA or whatever, Trinity River Authority. So how they sue each other. I mean, how can they do that? I mean, I don't know even the
We can
details of the
continue.
lawsuit, but.
I'll continue to explore it, but if we wanted to have a vote of no confidence in the TAD or something, it'd have to be a.
I think that's the least we could do, because when we're sitting at
Yes,
a
sir.
workshop, and he gets a report that day, earlier in the day, and then gets a call later, tell you this is not any good, I mean, the data's not any good, and we set our meeting accordingly to try to make decisions.
I think
on
it
the
came
school
during the
district.
meeting, right?
Well, I got a notice during the meeting that there was a clerical error in the report. However, I didn't think a clerical error was going to be $400 million. And I wasn't particularly worried about it, because
Also in the meeting.
I had limiters on my numbers,
And
but
when we talk about process improvements, we discussed this as well, Mr. Law and I did, and that was an email to Jim with no idea of the order of magnitude, although they knew the order of magnitude, and you would hope that they would know we were actually conducting a meeting and using that data. I mean, since we're their customers on that, you would think they would have known and thought to at least call Jim and say, hey, this is a biggie, and you guys are meeting with this data right now, and it's incorrect. So when they're here next week, I think those are some of the things that we need to highlight as far as or next month, I'm sorry, how do we make
couple
sure we're
of-
working better together so that we can have some confidence in this data.
a couple things I will point out. Number one, this only affected districts covering our area. So if you were Grapevine, Colleyville, or Birdville, this didn't affect you. So this was,
That doesn't really make me feel a lot better.
yeah, I know, it didn't, but it was an error that was isolated, I guess is the best way to say it, should have been caught. And the other part of it, I forgot what it was, but it was there are districts that had adopted their budget based on that first June report. If you had a June 30th year end, you're adopting your budget right now. You're setting your tax rate, which kind of goes back to the discussion that we had and the dismay of Ring about whether or not we really wanted to do that, and Steve as well. So we are shelving any potential plans to recommend changing our year end.
I mean, look at what are our options? I mean, we had our tax office before. I mean, I know we're a lot bigger, but, I mean, what would be the
Well, we would only
implication?
collect the taxes.
Huh?
They would still do the appraisals. So we
They-
would be if
Don't
we had our own
collect
tax
it.
office, and some do, like Grapevine Colleyville has their own tax office, they only collect the taxes, they don't appraise.
Right.
And so it's
They have
a
a monopoly on the appraisal. There's no way to get around
It's a
it.
Correct.
state law. They exist because of a state law that requires every county to have a central appraisal district for all taxing entities.
What we'll do, though, is I'll ask our attorney to come in at one of our meetings and have them do some research on what other legal means that we have to explore every option. I think most of them are going to be political. in order to address. But we can have them come in and give us a report on that. And I know we've been engaging them and working with them, but I'd rather y'all hear directly from them on that.
Well, this is just really unacceptable. I think we've been overly patient.
Oh, it's a killer. I mean, we sat in a meeting in this very room, and we're moving forward with that information with limiters built in, and then there's an additional oversight, as they would call it. And I think the comment was, well, we sent you something about that. It's like, well, we're in the very meeting that we're needing that information to make decisions. Not to gloss this at all, from the M&O side, I don't, personally, I would come forward with the same recommendations, the salary plan, all the things he prioritized and has enumerated. That's why you don't see any adjustments there.
That's because you didn't trust the data and you made some personal adjustments in our planning process. Wouldn't it be great if we could get to a point where we didn't have to do that and we could trust the data?
That would be nice. Yeah.
I mean, we're certainly glad you did it. But it's sad that we can't get to that point.
It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good job.
I did have one extra question on if the 9.4 is correct, how does that change the bottom line number, do you know? As opposed to 9.2?
There what?
Mr. Law's estimate that we should come in at 9.4 instead of the,
something, yeah.
Instead of the 9.2, how does that change the bottom line number?
If instead of the 924, we get his amount, that is about $2 million in additional revenue.
It's as close to the numbers we originally saw.
It will take it, right now, we're at about 13.8. That will take us up to right at about 16%. We originally used 18%, but I pulled it back 2%, so yes, you're very
There's an
close.
obvious effect on the debt service side, which are our bond programs, and so given that the major decisions aren't made for another year out, we don't know definitively until we get our final numbers how it'll affect that, and we'll report on that. But we are going to move forward with our recommendations tonight to name architects, move forward with designs and planning, and then make decisions based on current numbers at that time.
If the 400 million was 8 million, wouldn't an extra 200 million be 4 million?
Well, if the 400 million was, okay, it was $5.3 million for that one mistake.
I thought you said 8.
No,
And the difference between the
530 million was the TAV mistake on the one account. At this point, I'm at like 9,286, and it would take us to 9,420, so it's about 1.4 or 140 million, not 200.
It's whether the mistake is in the taxable value or in the taxes we collect. So
When I do the packet, I'll line those out. I actually do have a spreadsheet that goes through that progression. And the numbers get jumbled in my brain. I'm sorry.
All right, thank you, Mr. Shuey. Okay, the time is currently 6:18 p.m. on 6/18, and the board will now recess for dinner and then reconvene in a closed meeting pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meetings Act. Section 551.071 for the purpose of private consultation with the board's attorney and all subjects and matters authorized by law. Section 551.072 for the purpose of deliberating a purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. Section 551.074 for the purpose of deliberating the appointment, employment, resignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee unless the officer or employee who is subject to the deliberation or hearing requests an open hearing. Section 551.075 for the purpose of deliberations regarding deployment or specific occasions for implementation of security personnel devices or security audits. And Section 551.082 considering discipline of a public, school, child, or complaint or charge against personnel. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education of Eagle Mountain Saginaw Independent School District. The board is reconvening in a public meeting on June 18th at 7:06 PM, and we'll now consider the subjects set forth in the posted agenda. And first off today, welcome everyone. I think we have Chisholm Ridge Elementary here to do our opening ceremonies. Mr. Hollingsworth, please come forward.
Good evening. I'm Tim Hollingsworth. I'm from Chisholm Ridge Elementary School. I'm a fifth grade math and science teacher, and it is my honor and pleasure today that I get to bring these future fifth graders to open the ceremonies and do the pledge for you. These kids are our team of excellence. They went through an application process, and a committee of teachers chose them to be our leaders next year on the campus at Chisholm Ridge. To be selected, like I said, they had to fill out an application, have recommendations from prior year's teachers, have excellence academically and behaviorally, and also just show leadership. So I'm very proud to introduce each one of them, and I'm also very proud and glad that I'm going to get to teach them next year. So I look forward to that, because reading about them and learning about them, they're exceptional kids. Okay. Ashlyn Fincher. Ashlyn's favorite subject is social studies. She's a state champion gymnast. Also, she has her own YouTube channel with hundreds of followers, and she also is a little entrepreneur with her own slime business. She likes to make, she makes customized slime in her slime store. That's pretty neat. All right. And now we have, you can just stay here. And now we have Madison Hamilton. Madison's favorite subject is math. That's a good call. She loves to dance, music, and she loves art projects and making slime also. This summer, she's attending Pickled Picasso, which are art classes for kids, and she's completing her second course on indoor skydiving. This fall, she's going to attend ballet classes. I'm going to need you to tell me about the indoor skydiving, because that might be the only kind I would be interested in. Now I have Elizabeth Bottell. Her favorite subject is math, and she loves fine arts. Her hobbies are painting, drawing, swimming, and reading. This summer, she is redecorating her room. And now I have Zeke Cisneros. Zeke enjoys doing experiments, and he loves learning about the past. His hobbies are drawing, creative writing, and he loves building and designing buildings in Minecraft. He also enjoys family game night, and this summer he's starting karate and playing basketball. Eli Salem. Eli's favorite subject is math, and talking to him a while ago, he said he enjoys swimming a great deal, and his mom says that's every day she's taking him to the swimming pool. So that's his thing. He also enjoys reading, and his favorite books right now are Diary of a Wimpy Kid books. Then I have Maddie Thomas. Maddie enjoys science, and she enjoys writing. Those are her two favorite subjects. She has a wonderful goal in her reading this summer. She wants to read over the next year 150 books. She participated in UIL Ready Writing last year. She's in PACE, and she competed in Destination Imagination last year as well. Shay Corcus. Her favorite subject is reading. She loves the Harry Potter books, and she has a special love for animals. This summer, she's going to travel to Florida and Arkansas with her family. And we're going to talk about the Harry Potter books, because I read all of them last summer. Aaron Rentz. Aaron, his favorite subject is reading. It sounds like he reads a great deal, and his favorite hobby is reading. He's right now reading the Harry Potter books. He also loves video games. And Jacoby Rogers. His favorite subject is PE, but math is a close second. We'll work on that. Jacoby, we'll work on that next year. He plays baseball and golf, and he enjoys fishing with his dad and knows more about NASCAR than the commentators. This summer, he wants to visit nursing homes to take the residents fresh cookies and to learn history from them. That's a really big thing to do. So these are our team of excellence. Once again, I look forward to getting to know them next year. And now we need to stand for the pledges, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. And now a moment of silence.
Okay, thank you, and we want to thank you for allowing us to open the board meeting. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Chisholm Ridge Elementary students. Appreciate you being here this evening. For the parents that are here for this, you guys are welcome to sneak out after the opening ceremonies if you don't want to stay for the meeting. Otherwise, you're welcome to stay if you would like. And then we will be moving into communications. We have some special recognitions tonight. Mr. Sean Bell, are you going to start? There you are. I thought I saw you earlier. Going to start us off with a special recognition?
Thank you, Ms. Ring, members of the board, Dr. Chadwell. It's my honor and privilege tonight to recognize a very, very special student in our district. This year, approximately 35,000 students in the state of Texas entered the VACE competition, which is the acronym for Visual Art Scholastic Event, that is sponsored every year by the Texas Art Educators Association. Students, obviously, all over the entire state enter this competition, and if they score high enough at the regional VACE competition, then they advance ultimately to the state competition, which occurred at the end of April this year in San Marcos. Out of those 35,000, when the smoke cleared, those receiving a 4, which is the highest accreditation or mark that they could receive, out of those, which we have had numerous students receive a 4 at state VACE competition over the years, but we have never in the history of our district had a gold seal medalist until this year. She is one of only 150 students in the state of Texas who entered this competition out of approximately 35,000 whose work was chosen to be a Gold Seal Medalist Award winner. And her work will be on display and touring throughout the nation as sponsored by VACE and Texas Art Educators Association for an entire year. So, without further ado, we'd like to recognize sophomore at Saginaw High School, Miss Kayla Smith. Kayla, come on up, Kayla. I told her she had up to 10 minutes to speak. She said that's okay. She's very conscious of everyone's time here this evening, but we are so proud of you, Kayla. Thank you. And I would like to recognize her mother, who's here tonight, Miss Selena Granberry. Congratulations. And our lead art teacher at Saginaw High School, Miss Lori Mangano. So congratulations, we're super proud of you. And she was so excited, she forgot her medallion at home to bring and show off. And her artwork, which you can see pictures of on our website, because there's a wonderful story that's been done by Communications back in May. You can see pictures of that artwork, but we're so proud and can't believe you're only a sophomore. That's fabulous. So let's come over here and take a picture. What do you say?
Let's give her one more round of applause while they're getting. Congratulations, Kayla. We have one more special recognition tonight. We have some representatives from Texas Christian University here today. Dr. Marla McGee and Dr. Mary Patton are here to join us this evening. You have a lot of TCU representation up here.
Yes, we have
We're glad to have you.
Great group here. I'm Mary Patton. I'm Dean of the College of Education at TCU, and it is my great honor to be here tonight to present this award. I'm joined by Dr. Marla McGee, who actually wrote the letter and secured the award, and she would like to introduce people who are part of our principal prep program, which your superintendent has had the vision to join with us to prepare future leaders. So
yes,
she would like to introduce them.
We have 3 of our members of our Leadership Fellows Cohort 5 with us this evening. Allie Bodie, Ebony Love, and Sue Nguyen. And we're very pleased that they were here today.
So I have the honor to present Dr. Jim Chadwell with the 2018 Excellence in Educational Leadership Award, which is awarded by the University Council for Educational Administration and recognizes the contributions of administrators who are practicing in the field. So my favorite quote from Dr. Chadwell is, "People say teaching isn't brain surgery." And they're right. I say, no, it's much more complicated. And he goes on to talk about the fact that the kids are not asleep, and you're not having to do surgery and have parents on the phone and legislators on the phone. So I just love that quote, that teaching is very complicated, probably the most complicated profession that there is. So as you all know, Dr. Chadwell never intended to be a teacher. Does everybody know that? And he took a class that inspired him, and he's gone on to be a teacher, a coach, a principal, an executive director, a deputy superintendent, and now superintendent. And for someone who never intended to get into education, well done. So we know Dr. Chadwell is a visionary and innovative leader, a passionate advocate for children and families, a fierce supporter of public education. He has many honors. You may or may not know that he was selected as High School Principal of the Year by the Texas Association of Secondary School Principals. He's been selected as the Saginaw Citizen of the Year. He's been selected as the Texas Educational Theater Association Administrator of the Year, and he was also the recipient of a Fulbright scholarship to Altung,
Altuting. It's okay.
Germany.
Germany.
What I'm here to talk about is the fact that he's also an amazing alumni of the College of Education at TCU. He serves on the College of Education Advisory Board, so he and I work closely together, and he advises me on the college and students and what we need to be doing to prepare educators for schools. He is a recognized leader in the state, which brings positive recognition to TCU as well. Probably the most exciting thing for us tonight is that we are here with these future leaders because Dr. Chadwell was visionary enough to decide to participate with our teacher preparation program. And not only has he got Eagle Mountain Saginaw School District involved, he is talking about it across the state and across the nation. And the program is nationally recognized. We're very proud of it, and it's not that many years in. We're 6.
We're selecting our 6th leadership cohort right now, about to start at the end of the fall.
So,
Which Adriana Cordona
Yes.
will be our fellow from Eagle Mountain joining cohort 6 as a future assistant principal or principal.
so lastly, I want to read to you what Dr. McGee wrote about Dr. Chadwell. As superintendent of one of the state's fastest growing districts, he recognized the need to proactively address the expanding student population in his district's challenging demographics. Keenly aware of the pivotal role the principal plays in school and district success, Jim personally extended an invitation to TCU educational leadership professors to meet with his cabinet and discuss the Principal Fellows Program. Since that time, he has been intimately involved with and supportive of the program. So thank you very much. It's a great honor tonight. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Chadwell, and would you come get your award? Proud of you.
And did you say we can get a photo? Over here.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Dr.
you for
McGee and
having us.
Dr. Patton. We know what a Jimmy is here, but it's really great to hear others recognize it as well. So we appreciate you being here this evening.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
We didn't have anybody sign up for oral communications, did we, Sam? No. Okay. We did not have any oral communications speakers requests this evening, so we are going to move on to action items. Our first action item A, Mary Jones, if you'll come forward, we have to conduct a public hearing, and I believe there's something I need to read here. At this time, on behalf of Eagle Mountain Saginaw ISD, I declare an open hearing on the status of federal programs currently serving the needs of the students in the district in accordance with state and federal laws regarding rules for the school districts on reporting requirements.
Good evening, board members. I'm going to talk about our entitlement that we have received for planning purposes in all of our federal programs. For Title 1A for this current school year, we will receive $1,687.32. Let me say that again correctly. $1,687.32, and that's an increase of $202,338 from last year in Title 1A. Title 2A, our entitlement for this coming school year will be $653,000. That's an increase of $21,220. Title III, Part A, which is our LEP entitlement program, for this current school year is $171,414, which is an increase of $6,688. Title IV, which was a new program for us last year, the entitlement for this school year will be $102,883, which is an increase of $68,003. And then Title I, Part C for Carl Perkins, which is the Career and Technical Education Grant. For this year, we will receive $133,288, which is an increase of $9,216. And then for Idea B, formula funds, the funding for this school year will be $2,607,716, which is an increase of $28,498. And then Idea B, which is the preschool entitlement program, for this year will be $15,098, which is an increase of $1,955 for this school year. And that is our entitlement, that is our planning amount when we submit our grants at the beginning of next month. Any questions?
No questions from the board? Okay, so at this time, the hearing is open for public comment. Please step to the podium if you wish to be heard. Nobody? Okay, then at this time, I declare the public hearing on federal programs SAS for the district closed. Thank you. All right, and we will move on to action item B. Mr. Welch, about the renewal of the Gold Star Transit.
I make a motion to approve amendment number 4 to renewal and amending agreement with Gold Star Transit for pupil transportation.
Second.
I have a motion by Tim, a second by Donna. Is there any discussion on that? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed?
No.
I'm abstaining.
Okay. so-
Abstaining. He was for it.
You were
I'm
for
for
it?
it, yes.
Okay. So we had 5 votes in favor, 1 abstention, Mr. Dick Elkins, and the motion passes 5.
I'm sorry, let's go back. Tim, what was your vote?
4.
His hand came up a little late, but he
I was a little
clarified. He was clarifying. So the motion passes. Okay. And then next, we have act on bids and proposals, action item C.
I make a motion to approve Hankins, ESTEP, Deaton, TON, and SAY PC as the provider for annual financial audit services.
Second. I have a motion by Tim and a second by, was that you, Liz? Yes. Okay, is there any discussion on that item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay. And then next, we have high school advanced placement instructional and curriculum resources.
I make a motion to award the proposal of high school advanced placement instructional materials and curriculum resources for environmental science and psychology to Macmillan Holdings LLC for a total of $65,037.30.
Second. I have a motion by Liz and a second by Marilyn. Was that you? Okay. Is there any discussion on that? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, and then we have wireless access points for various locations.
I make a motion to award the quote for wireless access points for various locations received from Buy Board Purchasing Cooperative awarded vendor Global Asset Online for a total of $998,730.
Second. Marilyn? Okay. So I have a motion by Tim, a second by Marilyn. Is there any discussion on that item? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, and so we're on to action item D, designate competitive sealed proposals as the best value method for Bryson Elementary School HVAC retrofitting.
This is in connection with the HVAC retrofitting. The method that we've determined to be in the best interest of the district is competitive sealed proposals, which allows us to go out, get a price, and then negotiate with the highest rated company. The recommendation is to designate the competitive sealed proposal as the method that provides the best value for the district for the Bryson Elementary School HVAC retrofitting.
So moved. Do I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Liz, second by Tim. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Are there any opposed? I don't see any. Motion passes 6-0. Okay, we are on to action item E, act on the issuance of maintenance tax notes to fund the technology initiative. Mr. Shealy?
This goes back to the discussion from last Thursday when we bid the display models. We had 2 levels of supply. One was to do it over 4 years. One was to do them all at once and finance them over 4 years to see what the differential would be. Prices dropped approximately 16%, which prompted us to look at the cost of borrowing, which was not anywhere near that percent. So at this point in time, we are asking, we're recommending that the Board of Trustees approve the administration to act on the issuance of maintenance tax notes to fund technology initiatives for a technology initiative.
So moved.
Second. I have a motion by Donna, a second by Liz. Any discussion? All right, seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? There are none. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, and then we're up to action item F, to consider approving the 2018-19 staffing report.
I make a motion to approve the 18-19 additional staffing request as presented.
Second. Marilyn? Okay. I have a motion by Tim, seconded by Marilyn. Are there any discussion on that? Seeing none. All those in favor? Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0. Item G, consider approving the 2018-19 teacher salary schedule. Dr. Deborah Dawkins? Yes, ma'am. Please do.
There's an update at your place with an adjustment that's been made, and also an additional page showing a $53,000 basis for a 0-step as an alternate. This was requested to be looked at, and so she's worked out that, and you'll see the difference there in the cumulative number on the next to the last column on the right.
I make a motion to approve the 2018-19 teacher salary schedule as presented.
Second.
And just to clarify, that is as presented in the which page of the revision? There are 2 versions at your place, so were you suggesting the second one that I think she's going to talk to us about?
The blue copy.
There's 2 versions in the blue copy, so you want the second page that starts with the $53,000 salary schedule?
Yes, Mr. President.
I second. I second page 2, Tim.
Okay, so we have a motion by Tim and a second by Liz. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, hold on a second, you've already got me confused.
We did have an amendment which we didn't go over, so would you like to clarify what the 2 pages are and how that has changed?
I would love to talk about it. Very excited about this. At our board planning workshop, part of the discussion initially was on the salary schedule that I presented, looking at years 32 and 33 and having an incremental step in those, which I made that adjustment. And then I got really excited when we talked about maybe taking another look at starting salaries. And so I pressed Mr. Shealy, squeezed him a little bit more. And what I did is took the starting salary at $53,000 and kind of worked through the steps in that way. The difference on that is $76,850, which he was in agreement that we could make happen with our steps.
So to clarify,
So
it's a slight adjustment, only $76,000, but it allows us to have the base point 0 years teacher salary schedule start at $5,300 as opposed to the $5,200. So an extra $1,000 for new hires, just 0 experience.
And
Yeah,
we,
okay, Mr. Shealy, so, okay, is that something that's within what we have even with your
The
uncertainty with TAD?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Under our current budget,
Yes,
will still
sir.
be balanced?
That was the number, actually, the estimate we used for a 2% raise in the smoothing of the teacher's salary is more than what the actual salary negotiation figure came out. So even with that increase, we're within the parameters that we set up in the budget.
So basically, this allows us to help some of that front end where we
Right.
really had the gap in the salary schedule with not a lot of financial impact because,
I think if I remember
New
right,
hire
we're
rate.
competitive at the beginning. We're rewarding those teachers that have been here quite some time. And in the middle, the minimum increase, I think is 2.19%,
Right.
if I remember right.
yeah, so everyone, all of them are over 2.
So how many new teachers, how many you expect that to affect? 76, is that what you said? Is that the number? I mean,
We
you said
hired
it's $1,000 more?
46 last year, brand new step 0, 46 new
46.
teachers at step 0 last year.
Okay. Oh, okay. And you said 76, where'd I hear 76?
That would be the difference in the steps for the current employees.
Okay,
In
those are
starting the salary,
those are
I
the
made
adjustments, equity
all
type
of the adjustments
Okay.
down the
Got it.
salary
Okay.
schedule.
any other discussion?
Well, I was going to ask you roughly, Dr. Dawkins, how many have we hired thus far? First-year teachers about?
First-year teachers, I couldn't
Yeah,
quote
okay,
exactly.
okay.
I'm sorry, I can have
That's
that,
a- that's a-
I can have that next time.
Good.
Any other? Okay, so I think we have a motion by Tim, which was seconded by Liz, and we've had our discussion. So at this time, all those in favor? Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0. Okay, action item H, name an architect of record for Wayside Middle School replacement, Boswell High School athletic renovations, and the new central administration building.
I move we approve VLK as the architect of record for Wayside Middle School replacement, Boswell High School athletic renovations, and a new central administration building.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Donna, second by Tim. Is there any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0.
Mr. President, we do have Lisa Bardeman, principal with VLK here,
Smiling.
so probably very worried when
Did
she
you
saw
miss the
me.
opportunity to speak? Did you want to get a chance to come to the microphone?
I'm just very appreciative, thank you very much.
Thank you. We're anxious to work with you again. So, all right. We did have one report that we did not finish from our earlier report session. That is Report L, a change in the high school attendance reporting time. Dr. Burns.
Thank you very much. This year, we were notified by the Student Attendance Accounting Handbook that we needed to determine a particular point in time for us to choose when to report our attendance each day. Historically, that has been 10 o'clock, and that has worked for us until recently. Our Boswell students and our Saginaw High School students, when they are en route to HCTC, are not settled in their classrooms by that 10 o'clock hour. So what I am requesting that I'll be bringing back in July is permission to change our high schools only to a 10:10 attendance reporting time. Also, too, there may need to be some clarification in the language concerning policy. Our registrar department, Ms. Newman, has been working with an auditor that, was suggesting that this needs to be in policy due to some of the recent changes in the handbook. And so if there are additional changes made, I will bring those back to you also in July, and then, of course, request your support for that change.
Any questions? All right, thank you. And then, were there any questions on the routine monthly reports? Anybody need anything reviewed there? Does not appear so. So we will move on to the board planning calendar.
Okay, on page 217 of your packet, we have an additional budget status report and operations report. We also have under closed session to conduct the superintendent formative appraisal conference. You do have the goals that have been submitted to you previously and that new appraisal document, and so we'll be able to make the final determinations on those. We also have under action items, the elect designated delegate and alternative to the 2018 TASB Delegate Assembly. So I would recommend that you're at this meeting, or you may be in that role.
Be elected, as has been the practice.
Yes.
Guess who's not gonna be
You're
here?
excited, yeah.
We also have the graduation dates there. Dana's actually working right now on the contract along with Jim Shealy for the Dickies Arena. And we should have that, we should be able to bring you a date in July. Right now, we have the contract. We're just having to adjust some language in it just to address, but nothing that we can't work around. So we're excited about that. We'll be among the first schools that will graduate from their arena, and it's going to be a really step up for our kids, so it's going to be in our community. It'll be great. We also have to do one of the most important things we do, which is to bring to you the recommendation for the 18-19 budget and the proposal of the 18-19 tax rate. That's it.
Any questions on that? If you have anything else you want to see added to that agenda, make sure you get with Dr. Chadwell according to the timeline. And then I guess that brings us to the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Have a motion by Tim, a second by Donna. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Any opposed? And there are none. Motion carries 6-0. I guess that brings me to what would typically be board president's announcements, but I'm filling in today, so I will do it as the board vice president. I just appreciate y'all's patience today. This is my first time to run a meeting, hence the calling it September, not June, when I opened it up, but other than that. And then I also just wanted to highlight a couple things. I wanted to talk about how smoothly I thought graduations went with the wrench we were thrown to have to move it to Friday at a late date. I thought it went as smoothly as it could being on Friday, so kudos to everybody on that. And then I also just wanted to remind us all that TASB leadership, those of us that are going to be attendance at SLI, that is coming up next week. So, that's all I have. And
I know you're not going to be there. You don't want to learn anything.
All right, I just had a couple of
Dr. Chadwell,
things.
everything?
Yes, ma'am. Just a couple of things on there. You see we already have new hire orientation, professional development days. It won't be long. And so just make sure that you check those dates. We do have convocation scheduled for August the 13th. There is a change there. It's in the afternoon, so that is a change. We're trying something a little bit different this year, and working with our campus principals and working with the district committee. That's a request that they had, is to start in the afternoon, so we're doing that. We also have the Team of 8 training that's scheduled for August 21st. That includes the required ISO training that's new, that has to be done and completed every 2 years. So we have that scheduled as well. And the last thing I just wanted to, I know TCU's not here anymore, but I just wanted to say thank you to them. Really appreciate their acknowledgement for our work with them. It's a part where I get to take credit for other people's work. I know that Dr. Barnes and Dr. Parker and others have been a part of that, of working on that, of facilitating future leaders in our school district. So I'm very proud of that. One thing I just want to make sure that I want to make sure y'all know is that I didn't just like happen onto teaching. Okay, it's like. Because it's a real compliment to TCU, because I took a course, a TCU course, and I got hooked because I loved it. And I just didn't realize I would love it. So I was a difficult student in high school, so I think that's why I didn't think I could ever be a teacher. So, and I'm very proud to be a teacher. So TCU was a big part of that, and I got my master's with that and started teaching. So anyway, it was really nice of them to do that. But I also think this also goes back to our board, because we couldn't do that unless we made a financial commitment to develop new leaders. So thank you for that vision, that leadership, and allowing us to do our job in finding new leaders for our campuses. And I know we have some of those individuals that were here tonight, and just really, they're great to get to know, because they have such a passion for what they're doing and getting some great experience. So anyway, that's all I have. Go Frogs.
Thank you. Okay, appearing there's no further business to come before us, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Okay, hold on. I'd just like to congratulate again Dr. Chadwell, very well deserved award.
Thank you.
And like to say congratulations to Paige, great job, Presidente.
Yes.
She did a great job.
I made no notation of that tonight.
She did a great job. She did a great job. Therefore, I so move that we adjourn.
Second.
Okay, yes. Motion by Dick and a second by everyone.
Everybody.